what are the leading trends and emerging strategies you are noticing to achieving this goal? At Volante, we are seeing some things, and I'll talk about what those things are. But would be keen to know if you're seeing the same thing as well, right? So a couple of trends we're noticing. Number one is the trend away from the best of breed single rail solution. We all know that most banks have different solutions, different payment solutions for different rails. Okay, they may have an ACH solution, they may have a Fedwire solution, they may have a solution for a Swift, and more now with RTP and FedNow, right? So that was a trend, the best of breed solution, and the banks had taken upon themselves to integrate them, which is a major task. Okay, and so that's one trend. What we are noticing is that more and more customers are going with the payment hub approach, where they're saying, I don't need, payment is a payment is a payment. I don't need the individual solutions for each payment type. I want to integrate them into one payment hub. It doesn't have to be one for all the payment types. Maybe what they want to do is they want to integrate FedNow and RTP and all the instant payment into one now, and maybe don't touch the old ones for now. But eventually they're looking for a platform for RTP and FedNow, which can also support Fedwire and ACH and another area. And the second trend we're noticing more and more is that the banks don't want to be in technology anymore. They were for a very, very long time, and they are saying, you know what, I'm better suited to take care of my customers, not as a technologist, but as a business partner. Okay, so they are more and more leaning towards payment as a service. What I mean by that is let somebody else worry about the hosting, the infrastructure, the network, the security, the compliance, upgrades, and all that stuff, and let me as a bank worry about how do I offer a unique experience to my customers, right? What are you noticing, Tanvi?
So I think your points are very valid, right? At some point, to me, there are two categories of banks, right? One is a bank that is very, legacy, has the traditional platforms, all of that, and they are still starting their digitization journey, right? Those banks that have complexities, right? Then there are some banks, like you said, we actually have certain banks who want to be a technologist. They want to bring in, right? Either way, what's happening is, like you said, there's a consolidation of payment platforms for 20 years plus. Like we've in financial institutions, we've not touched these in siloed platforms, right?
Yeah.
With the introduction of RTP, with the introduction of instant payments, it's given them a reason to like, okay, let's do a vendor consolidation, right? Doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be one vendor, right? It doesn't have to be one platform, but the driver behind what we see is when we ask questions on why do you need a payment hub or why do you need to consolidate, it is to drive simplicity and reduce that, the bandage approach that's happened year over
Complexity.
year, because now you can see as the starting point, like the customer experience, if you want to give these personas and personalized experience to your clients, it all impacts your backend, right? So if your backend is not agile and modular enough for you to plug and play these experiences, that's what's driving a lot of these institutions to think like, if I want to start giving these differentiated experiences, whether it's taking the advantage of the ISO data that's coming and giving value added services back to my clients or whatever it is, that to drive that experience, what they're noticing, their tech stack or their ecosystem needs to get simplified, and it needs to, and taking advantages of the APIs, taking advantages and removing the manual on-prem connections is what's going to take you time. So we are seeing similar trends where it's a lot of platform consolidation. How do I simplify this? And how do I make my ecosystem future proof? Because right now we have FedNow. What if we come up with other digital currencies and like rails, right? We don't know. So we need to, if we are getting a chance to modernize, let's modernize it to a point where we can plug and play channels where today I will not touch my wires or ACH, right? But then come 5 years down, if I want to touch it, how easy it is for me to integrate. So that's kind of the things and conversations we are seeing with a lot of the financial institutions who are trying to modernize and are modernizing their payment platforms. But now it's like they're modernizing to drive the experiences. That's the difference that we are seeing. They are taking that experiences and that is driving the tech decision also.
Keith, I'm sure you're seeing similar trends and some new things as well. Would love to hear your views on that.
Yeah, and absolutely. In order for a financial institution to create um, that that very integrated front end experience and that very straightforward customer friendly front end experience, you have to shield the back end from the customer, right? You have to make it very straightforward and very easy across a realm of complicated payment systems sitting on the back end, right? The way FIs are doing that is creating these middleware layers that shield the customer by providing quick API access and across the organization, and then integrating into what, like Tanvi said, all of the back end systems where you can plug and play much easier. And again, that's the way you get to an enterprise type of a solution, as opposed to having to point this to ACH, point this here from each individual front end application, which is just too much of a tech challenge to do that.
Great.
Like
Thank
Keith,
you.
in your thing, and maybe Deepa, question for you, right? What are you seeing, right? Like as you are working with your clients, right? I think more and more financial institutions are not just looking for a traditional vendor solution, right? They're looking for a partner because they want to bring in this NOP solution, which can be the plug and play with the high technology, fully API driven. But then, of course, they will bring in their nuances, right? So I think where we see a lot of institutions are now, or we advise, like, just don't look for a vendor platform, look for a partner that can leverage their tech solution that they have, which is high end, but at the same time they'll work with you to create that differentiated experiences for your end users, because you can then start getting into that niche of like, I want to give a differentiated experience for my healthcare clients versus my real estate clients versus my consumers. I think banks are trying to use vendors like you in a very different way than they used to use before, because now they look at you as a partner versus just a provider, right?
Yeah. I think. Thanks, Tanvi. So few things. Number one, payment technology is where other technologies were 20 years ago. And when I say other technologies, I mean ERP, for example. Okay. What was common about ERP and which is similar to payments? Number one, they were highly customized. Okay. Every project lasted years. Okay. And costed tens of millions of dollars, if not more. They were highly customized. They also had best of breed. Okay. So the integration was a major nightmare for the customers. Third, customers had to become the IT shop to support these systems. They had to worry about infrastructure. They had to worry about having technical staff like DBAs, system administrators, network administrators, and so on and so forth. And number fourth, anytime something changed, for example, a new version came, an upgrade came. Okay, they had to repeat the whole cycle all over again. Spend another 2 years to upgrade the system. So I think the customers have learned from that, and even the payment executives have learned from that. They don't want highly customized solutions. They are saying my wire is not different than somebody else's wire. My ACH is not different than somebody else's ACH. Okay, my RTP is as similar to somebody else's RTP as it can be. But what's different is my business processes internally are different. Okay, so I'm looking for a solution which, out of the box, number one, is fully certified and supports the entire functionality for the rail, whatever the rail happens to be. Number two, it's highly configurable. I shouldn't have to customize anything. You should give me configurable options, and you should give me tools and technologies for me to configure, or for a partner like PwC to come and configure it for me. Okay, so give me tools, and allow me to do it. Number three, what we are also seeing, Tanvi, is the time to market is becoming very, very critical. Okay? It's no more about we need a payment hub in the next 5 years. Let's start the process today. It's about my customers are asking for instant payments. Okay, they're asking for it in 2024, not 2025, 2026. They need it. And if I don't have that, that's a competitive disadvantage to me. I cannot grow my business because customers have choices. Okay, they're not married to a bank. They can change bank. Most of them have multiple banks to begin with anyway. They can easily route their payments to a different bank. So the time to market is becoming critical. Number four, the total cost of ownership. They're not looking for an expensive solution which takes 5 years to build and cost $10 million, right? They're looking for an incremental approach to say, can you start small with me? and can you grow as I grow? Okay, that's very critical. And fifth point, what you talked about, Tanvi, future proofing. Okay, customers don't want to do major upgrades, so they're looking for a vendor which alleviates some of those, the future proofing, and helps them take care of that. So I think we're seeing a sea change. And by the way, underlying all of these things, a big trend we are seeing, and I would say when a big trend, it's generally tier 2 to tier 4, not for tier 1. Okay, and even in tier 1, we are seeing that if the tier 1 banks, and Tanvi, we have been involved with some of these tier 1s, right? If these tier 1 banks are looking to start a new entity or a new business unit, right? They're all going for payment as a service.
Yeah.
So tier 1s are not ripping and replacing their current payment solutions, not at all. But when they have to put new solutions in, okay, whether it's a new business unit, whether it's a new presence in a new different geography, whether it's a new payment type like instant payments, they're saying I can leverage payment as a service.
Correct.
And I want to leverage that from the vendor of the software, because who knows the software better than the vendor? Okay.
Correct.
So that's an underlying trend where we are seeing tier 2 to tier 4, we are seeing almost 70 to 80% of adoption of payment as a service, where we run the infrastructure for the customer, we run the app for the customer, we upgrade the app for the customer, we ensure the new rule books are updated for the customer, we ensure the compliance is taken care of, we ensure the security is taken care of. And only thing bank has to worry about is integrating our solution to their in-house systems. Okay. Yeah. And number 2, offer that service to their customer, not have to worry about infrastructure, people, technology, processes. We take care of all that. So that's what we are seeing. What about you, Tanvi? Do you seeing similar things?
Yeah, like I think, of course, more and more banks are going for payment as a service, right? Because the speed to market is the critical aspect, right? Like I need it now, or I need it yesterday. How can you give it to me, right? We don't have the bandwidth of waiting for like 11, 12, 18 months timeline to implement platform. So
Yeah.
payment as a service, 100%. You brought up a good point in terms of like just it's not offloading, but it's literally I have less to take care of if
Exactly.
I'm handing it over to the vendor, right? Of course, the due diligence from an FI perspective, you have to do your due diligence, and hence vendors like you will see a lot more of like questioning and scrutiny around security and what is your prototype, show me your reports and stuff like that, because the bank is now trusting you and handing over all of the processing or like infrastructure management to you versus bringing it us. But that is definitely something we see more and more banks adopt. Again, it's with the nuance that depending on where the bank is, every bank is on their cloud journey right now. Apparently, everyone is. But when do you bring in, right? You don't want to use payment as a guinea pig if you're doing this. That's not the first thing a bank is going to pick, right? So every bank is getting there. Everyone will get that at some point, but it's what's trending. Yes.
Yeah. And I think one more thing I forgot to talk about is the attention is also moving away from just automating processes to intelligence. Okay.
Yes.
So what I mean by that is that, hey, you can help me do an ACH transaction or a FedWire transaction or FedNow on RTP. That's great. That's what I need. But can you go beyond that? Can you provide me the level of intelligence which allows me to improve my customer satisfaction, allows me to save money for my customers, allows me to offer, look at what are the things I can do to create a differentiated offering for a different set of customers. Same offering for every customer, right? So what the customers are saying is, can you build a level of intelligence on your payment solution where in real time I can configure different, different parameters. I can set it up, and then in real time I get information. For example, what percentage of payments for a customer A are STP? Okay, and how can I change that? Or can I go back to the customer and say, if you were to move half of your payments from network A to network B, I can save you, so many dollars, right? Or I can do it automatically for you. Just give me permission to do so, right? How do I know who are my most profitable customers? How do I know who are the most volume, the customers who process the most volume? All this stuff, I shouldn't have to create a data lake and a data warehouse and all that stuff, because that's what tier 1 banks do today. All tier 1 banks have put together a data warehouse, a data lake to do exactly this, right? Now they're saying from the vendor like us, can you provide that intelligence to me in real time? And I should be able to configure it So we are building a platform called Volante Experience, which will sit on the top of Wallpay solution, which is Volante's payment technology, and will extract data from that in real time, and will allow customers to create their own reports, own intelligence, own logic, and get information in real time. So they can truly not just automate the payment, they can also create intelligence and provide unique value-added service to their customers.